Hello, in this video I'm going to be looking at another example of a ZwoBot signal chain that I've used in my live sets before. So this one features 6 different ZwoBot modules. I have already dragged them into the project and connected them to the player here, as you can see, and I've arranged them in the devices view in the same order that they are in the actual signal chain, just to avoid any confusion. So I'll start off by looking at them all one at a time, and then we'll look at how they actually work together and what the end result is. Just like in my previous 2 examples, my base visual is coming from this pattern generator module. This is a module that generates patterns like this. So I've got no videos or images loaded up here. The basic core of the visual is coming from this, and I have got the color setting and this pattern mode setting both set to the master beat sync, which is 1 note, so you can see that's why the color and the pattern is changing. And then I've just set these specific settings for the modulation and shift setting. I've got the BPM on the module set to 1 note, and I've got all of these settings switched on multi-layer and random position. So that's the base of the signal chain. You can see over here in our ZwoBot player, it's right at the bottom. On top of that then, I've got this Earl module. So let's switch that on and see what happens. So this is another visual generator. So you'll see if I were to turn the pattern module off, we can still see something because this also generates visuals, but instead of generating patterns, what this does is generate shapes. And currently I've got the texture modes here switched off, which is why it's just a color. But if I switch that on and then I turn this pattern back on, the fill is then basically this pattern. So it's taken this and put it into this shape, and it's a capsule shape. You can see there's these different shapes here, so you can have a plane, a circle, a sphere. For this particular effect, I wanted a capsule. Down here you've got this add layer option, and what that does is you can add an extra layer to the shape. So if it's on X, it means it's off, so it's just a capsule, but you can add another layer using these A or B. So I had this A layer switched on. I've got the grids here position set to a beat sync and set to jump mode here. So it means it's going to jump to a new position in accordance with the beat sync, which, like I said, is set to 1 note. So every note, it's jumping to a new position. And I've got it set to texture mode, so you can, let's just turn that additional layer off so we can see a bit better. You can have these line points and mesh mode. I've just got it to texture, and then you'll notice that this line mode is what's on this A layer. So the A layer is adding an additional texture on top of it. The size has a sound reactive control on it. So if I play some audio, you'll see that the size will adjust in accordance with the incoming audio. So you can see it's getting smaller in this case when the lower frequencies come through. And I've got the density turned right up, which just gives you a fuller shape. And this mode, like I said, if this is a texture button, so when it's off, you're just getting a basic color fill. But because I want to use the pattern underneath it to fill it, I can turn this texture mode on, and then it'll apply, like I said, it'll apply these shapes as a texture rather than as a solid fill. So I want that texture mode on. Okay, and then on top of that, we've got this Plural module. Now, I created this signal chain in ZwoBot version 2.8 when this module was called Plural. In 2.9, which isn't actually publicly available at the time of recording this video, But in 2.9, this module has been renamed to tiles, and it can do a lot more. So it's basically the tiles module, but like I say, I created this signal chain in version 2.8, so I'm still using the Plural one here. But what it does, it multiplies the visual in the form of these tiles, which is why it's been renamed tiles. And I've got a sound reactive control on that, so you'll see it will, well, you'll see. So that's on top of there, but I'm not always going to have that on. I would be triggering that for certain moments in the song as a kind of accent rather than having it on permanently. So I'm going to switch that back off for now. I've also got this filter on, and that's just set to edge A, just because I quite like how that looked. And same with the blur. I've got this blur just with these specific settings, and there's nothing crazy going on with these. No sound reactivity, no beat syncs. They're just static settings. So they're just permanently on, nothing changing with those. And then we've got this Keta effect, which, similar to the Plural, I use as an accent rather than having it on permanently. And this kind of distorts the image. I've got the drift setting set to be sound reactive, so if I hit play, we'll see this effect come into play. So it's fairly subtle. If I knock this off and I turn this up, we'll just see it. There we go. But I only switch that on during certain moments in the song, and I kind of use it alongside the Plural effect, so they might come on together. So I'm just going to reorder these. Now that doesn't affect the signal chain. You'll see this is the signal chain. This is what determines what effect is applying to what other effect. So I can move them about in here and the signal chain still stays the same. The only reason I'm doing that is because I want to trigger them both at the same time, and in order to do that, using the mouse and keyboard, I need to have them next to each other. If I was performing it live, I'd have them mapped to my push, but obviously I'm not doing that here. But now I can trigger them both at the same time, so... Might want to turn this Keta effect up a bit more, I think. And that's basically it. Another example of a signal chain you can use, and I will be back with another one of these soon. If you like this video, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and leave a comment to let me know what kind of videos you would like to see in the future.